All right. Hey guys. It is Thursday. Hope you all had a great day. Hello, Lachey. Thank you for the blue hearts. um, I have 40 minutes tonight with you all because I have another session at 8:15. So we can chit chat for 40 minutes. I think there's going to be plenty of time to talk about today's episode, which is going to be skills of a high caliber medical coder. What skills do you need? So I will be talking about that tonight. I talked about this in the past, but I did, like I said, got an email today from a lovely viewer, Leslie. I'm going to give them a shout out because all of these ideas for this week have been coming in. So I appreciate that. Thank you for all the inspiration on the topics because sometimes it is difficult to think of something that everybody wants to hear about. And sometimes I think the topic will be amazing and great, and then it's not what we talk about. So, I always kind of rely on you guys too to tell me what you want because that's the only way I'm going to be able to know what content to put out. So, I guess we're going to go ahead and get into it. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Today, I am talking about the skills of a high caliber medical coder. I will start off by reading this email and then I will get into the episode. So, let us begin. All right. She says, "Hi, Blue. What kind of strengths and qualities are needed to be a successful medical coder? Do medical coders need critical thinking and research skills? Can medical coding teach you empowerment to make decisions? Just wondering. Thank you." All right, thank you for your question. So here's the thing. When it comes to being a high caliber medical coder, this is what I say a high caliber, successful medical coder is. A high caliber coder is somebody who is willing to learn. That is the most important thing. That is a skill. Because believe it or not everybody has the ability to be able to learn as far as like the willingness. Sometimes coders will fall into this trap of, no, I know. Or no, I don't want to take advice from that person because I don't like them. I don't like that person. So I don't want to take any advice from them. Doesn't matter if they're correct or not. They're just not going to take advice from them. And so if you're like that, that's not putting the profession before yourself. This is a selfless profession. You are working for so many other people and they will never see you. But what you do will impact them. It impacts the provider. It impacts the hospital. It impacts their ability to be able to pull in revenue because if the codes are not selected appropriately, the facility suffers. Most of all, it affects the patient. That patient is going to carry through all of those procedures and diagnosis codes that you are selecting. It doesn't matter what the provider selected. You're the coder. It's your job to know. So it is very important that you have the skill of being willing to learn and listen. I've had many auditors in my career. The most successful auditors are the ones that are willing to listen. Listen to the coder when they're giving their feedback, when they're bringing their argument as far as like, hey, I have this coding clinic that supports the code that I selected, and this is the reason that I did it, right? If you have an auditor that is not willing to accept it, no, you're wrong, and not willing to listen to the coder, that's wrong. Because now, again, you're not having that willingness to learn. You have to have a willingness to learn. And it doesn't matter where it is from or who it is from. You have to be willing to learn. And I do say that that is a skill because if you don't have that willingness, you got nothing. I mean, especially in this field. Okay, so I'll start off by saying that. Yes, you do need to have critical thinking because not everything is cookie cutter. Not all of our encounters are going to be cut and dry. Not all of them are going to be the same. And there's going to be different doctors with different attitudes and different moods and different trainings. And you have to be able to not depend on somebody and be running back and forth and saying, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Yes, medical coders do get hung up on some things sometimes because it's hard to know, right? It's hard to know which way to go sometimes with the documentation. But it does teach you independence. It does teach you to critically think. And when you don't understand something, you have to start doing your research, which is another skill that you need to have as a medical coder. Your research skills have to be strong. You can't just go to a discussion board and ask a question and expect that to be sufficient enough to bail you out if you have to go up against an auditor in an audit because your code selection was wrong, but you were listening to a discussion board. Now, a discussion board is good for discourse. I mean, it is really good for, talking things out and trying to better understand certain subjects, because sometimes you can run into some really good people who are willing to share their knowledge, right? But then sometimes you run into the opposite of, well, we do it this way at my facility, and that's what we do, and that's what we've always done, so we're going to continue to do it that way. And that's not always right, because things do change and guidelines get updated and things like that. So being able to research and do all of those things is very, very key to being a high caliber medical coder. When you can do your research, there's all things, a lot of things that you can discover. It's not just about looking at the book and trying to look things up like in the medical dictionary. It's actually going to the specialty websites for that specific specialty and really digging deep into that particular subject, whatever it is. Back in the day when I was first starting in ortho, I spent a lot of time looking at ortho websites and trying to understand what was happening, because at the time I wasn't around my provider, so I couldn't just go to them and ask them questions. I was housed away from them. Now that I'm in the clinic, it's a lot easier. And when I do get hung up and stuck on something, what I will tell them is I'll bring them what I found out and why it doesn't make sense to me, and then they're willing to explain. And that's the way that I've always done it, because I want them to know that I respect their time. And that's another skill that you have to have, is being respectful of other people's time. When it comes to talking to your providers, asking them questions, you have to be assertive and respectful. But you can't say, I'm sorry, I have a question, because that's not showing that you're sweet or that you're demure or that you're trying to come off as non-threatening, right? It's not showing that. It's showing actually the opposite of weakness. And when you are a medical coder, you can't be weak. You have to have a thick skin. Now, there's times when I say things and people say, well, Blue, that sounded harsh. It's not meant to be harsh. It is meant to be, this is the truth, and this is what actually happens out in the real world. And wouldn't you rather have it come from another coder and hear that and be prepared than to experience it from a doctor or somebody else, your supervisor or another coder? Because when it comes to us and our ability to be in this field, again, a thick skin goes a long way. Because if you're going to fall apart every single time somebody gets barky with you, and barky meaning like, they don't like what you say, and I'm the doctor and you're going to do whatever I say. If you don't have that thick skin and you say, oh, okay, well, I'll just code whatever they want to because they're going to yell at me, and it's incorrect coding. And if you don't feel comfortable enough to query them, then you have another problem too, because now you're not doing your job. Now you're not applying the ethical standards of medical coding. And so that's the thing. You have to be able to follow those rules, and you have to be able to do those things. And even if you are a shy person, it does not matter, because at the end of the day, it's not about you. It is not about you. And I learned that. It is not about me. I learned that when I went through my Arbinger Institute training. But when I learned this, it was like a light bulb went on. It is not about me. It's about the patients. It's about the providers. It's about the facility and all the things that go along with it, right? So when you have that in your head, then your part of the responsibility is more understandable. And you have to be able to, again, have that thick skin and say, well, the provider didn't like this approach as far as like what I was saying. So I'm going to try another approach. It's about self-improvement. You have to have those self-improvement skills and uh, the empowerment to make decisions. You do have to have that, because if you sit on the sidelines and you wait to be told what to do, that doesn't work either. We're all, as medical coders, we're all independent and we all have our own way of thinking. We have to follow the rules, and we have to speak up when we see that the rules are not being followed, and we have to do things correctly. We still have to follow the guidelines, right? Because again, when we're looking at these, we may think of it as one way, but then when somebody with more experience comes along and explains it the way that it's supposed to be, then you're like, oh, wait a second. And it goes back to willingness to learn from anybody, not just, oh, because she's my friend or he's my friend and I'm going to listen to them only. And just because it's you, I'm not going to listen. So I have had the instance many times of, I'm the coder. And this is with another colleague, so another coder, and will not listen, will refuse to listen because she has a personal problem with me. To no fault of my own, it's her own personal problem with me. Now, I will listen. If she's got something to say, I will listen, but that it doesn't reciprocate. She does not do the same thing for me. And so that's the problem right there. And so to me, it's just like, okay, I don't have to deal with that. But when I see other coders doing that, and I see other coders that are not as strong as me and what it does to them, I don't think that that's right either. So I will continue to code correctly. I will continue to educate my providers appropriately, and I will continue to do those things. But again, that's being independent and having that mindset and that thick skin of, okay, just because this person says that they refuse to listen to me, even though I've got experience in this and I'll be able to help them to understand it. Okay. So again, people will lose out for being stubborn and hard-headed. Don't be stubborn and hard-headed. Be willing to listen to others. And sometimes if you have a personality clash with somebody, you got to put that on the back burner, because it does you no good in your career to be stubborn and hard-headed. And I'm not going to listen to that person, no matter how good they are. It does you no good. And you'll never grow that way, because you never know what you're missing by not listening. So hi Lachey, hi Alma, hi Ellie, and hi Rochelle. Thank you for all the blue hearts, everybody. They gave me all blue hearts. Thank you so much. But yes, so that would be what I would say. And if you feel like you are a shy person, I would work on the shyness. I would do anything to work through that. Sometimes it is about your own self-improvement. I've had to do that because I am a shy person, believe it or not. I say that a lot of people don't believe me, but it's true. I am shy. And the reason that I'm able to talk to providers now is because I've had to actually listen to TED Talks. I've actually had to do my own research and make sure that I read about body language so that I understand if what I'm saying is actually sinking in, because people will sometimes not tell you, but they will show you with their body language if they're accepting of what you're saying, if they're lost. And this way you can cater your approach to different providers or to different coders. Sometimes you'll have that as well when you're teaching a class. I've taught many classes with coders, and I've said whatever it was in a way that I thought was easy to understand, and then I got these quizzical looks on some faces, and okay, I got it on other looks. So I would turn it around and rephrase it a different way, and there goes a light bulb. So if you're not in tune with paying attention to others and their response to you, you can lose out on that, because only being able to educate half of the room and the other half is still completely lost, then you just wasted your time and their time, because the message didn't go through. You have to work to get your message across, and being able to read body language, being in tune with others around you is very helpful, because you'll see people in everyday life and in your career that will be very into themselves and only what they think and what they feel and what they see. And if you are the type of person that says, okay, I'm looking at this person looks like they get it, this other person doesn't look like they get it, and this other person looks like, they pretty much got it, then you have to work with that particular one that looked confused. And sometimes these providers, another thing too, you have to be very aware of like egos. Beware of egos, because egos are a big part of our field, because we work with surgeons, we work with doctors, we work with nurses. And so while we are taking documentation really from the doctors, the nurses are still there, and they're still a very much active part of the whole process too. And so when they're there, they like to listen in, and get that extra second guidance too from us. It is that you're able to see if this person doesn't get it, then you're going to take that person aside, or you're going to take the time to go and talk to them personally, because sometimes they will not ask a question in front of everybody else. Because I've done that. I've foolishly thought, okay, well, does anybody have any questions? And I'll get deer in the headlights all the way. And I said, okay. Nobody says anything. And at first I thought, okay, well, it's just me. It's not just me. And then later on I was told, well, Blue, no one wants to be the one asking questions. And I go, are you freaking serious? And they go, yeah. And I'm like, come on, how many years have we all worked together? They go, it doesn't matter. We all have our thing where we don't want to ask questions. And so I was like, okay. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for joining me. Hi, CB. So that's what I would say on that part. Be in tune with others. And it's not just about the book. It's about improving yourself. If you are really bad with writing, that's something you got to work on too, because a lot of not just verbal communication, but writing comes into play. And if you're not working on those details, your writing, your speech, and how you conduct yourself when you're around the providers, again, it plays a huge role. Sometimes providers will not listen to a coder just simply by the way that they present themselves. If they are loud, if they are looking confused, or they say they don't know, or they have a don't care attitude, that it really affects the provider. Okay, I'm not going to ask this person because they don't know, or they don't know, and so that's their attitude. So you really want to go to them, and you want to be able to have that, okay, we're a team. And they know if they ask you something that you're going to either get right on it or find the answer for them, because that's what it's about. You never want them to say, well, she never helped me, or he never helped me, or they don't know, or they're too lazy. You never want to hear that. That's the one thing that gets to me too, is seeing a lazy coder. That will get to me. That's, I think, the most irritating thing in the world is a lazy coder. Somebody that is not making the effort, somebody that's not trying, somebody that doesn't want to even talk to the providers. I don't want to talk to them, so I'm just going to do whatever. No, that's not the deal here. You have to be able to talk to them, because how are you ever supposed to ever fully understand what you're reading if you don't talk to your providers? Well, I don't want to do that. I just want to work. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. This is a team sport. We are independent coders, yes, but it is a team sport. Hi, Tangela. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Floor. So yes, that would be what I would say. The skills needed to be a high caliber medical coder. It's not just about the book and being able to study continuously, even after you've passed your certification exam, even after you have your job. But it is being able to do your research. It is about being able to do self-improvement so that you can be more in tune and develop those relationships with your providers and talk to them, because again, it's going to help. It's going to go a long way. Becoming a better writer so that when you're communicating through email, you get to the point right away, and you never want to have this huge, long, drawn out email. You want to write it out, cut it in half, and then cut it into a quarter, because that's about how much attention that you're going to get from them with a long email like that. So, hi, Monica. Thank you for joining me. That's what I would say. also learning from people that you don't like, because it's not about you at that point. It is about the job. It is about the work. It is about your career. And dismissing somebody just because you don't like them is wrong on your part. Now, again, I've had auditors where I've locked horns with them, and because I was right, and it was found out that I was right. But then I've had audits where I said, "Oh man," and they've been able to explain their side, because at first I thought I was right, and they've been able to explain their side, and I said, "Oh, okay," and they showed me their official guidelines and or coding clinic or something that was official. Oh, okay, now I get it. And that's just me still learning too. And that's okay when you have that. And I'm willing to accept that from people. And I haven't always liked my auditors either. Everybody has that. And you're not going to like everybody that you work with, but it's still not an excuse to not put that aside and work together when it is involving work. So that would be what I would say about that. So, does anybody have any questions? Because I have about 18 minutes, and then I gotta go. I have a session at 8:15, so that's fine. I'm saying a quarter after I gotta go. But this was pretty quick. Vlogmas today is going to be for tomorrow, because I just didn't have time, and it has been so slow on the uploads with YouTube. I think because everybody's uploading Vlogmas. You have all the YouTube creators uploading and all at one time, and it just slows everything down, because normally I can upload and it's uploaded in like 20 minutes. Now it's taking like 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes to upload one video. And so it's like 15-minute video. And I'm like, man. So no time today, but you get a double episode tomorrow. So it'll be for today's episode, which was supposed to be for Modifier 53, discontinued service. And then I'm still working on Friday's episode. So you'll know that because they will premiere back to back. I hope everybody had a good day. It's kind of quiet in the room, but yes. So make sure that you do that when you're out there. Be willing and flexible. That always helps, because if you are set in your ways with coding, you have to remember that things get updated and they change. Okay. Tangela says, "Hi Blue, I had a pre-employment exam today and I had my own code books, but I was told it was a 2018 test and used their 2018 books. Oh, wow." Lachey, "I just got my order from Optum 360 today." Ah, it is exciting. I'm excited for you. That is awesome, because we all know how much I love Optum 360 coding books. You will see all of the information that I've been talking about and bragging about. Trust me, you're going to love those books. Flor says, "Thank you for uploading the modifier videos, Blue." You're welcome. I hope you all are enjoying them. Please make sure that you like them so that it can get shared out by YouTube, because YouTube likes their likes. And just doing that one little action of a thumbs up really does help me. You're welcome, Ellie. Thank you. So, but yes, books are very important. I love Optum, and I love all the information that they come out with. I'm so excited. I love when the new books come in. Teresa, "Hi Blue. I'm taking a medical terminology and anatomy and physiology course with AAPC. I recently received my 2022 ICD-10 CM and CPT books. Should I begin reviewing the guidelines?" Yes, you should. Justin, "Blue, I'm waiting on my book too, the ICD-10 CM AHA book we talked about, and I used your link and got the one that was only $15. Yay! Hopefully the seller is going to give me an actual book." Hi, Chrissy. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you're gonna get that book. But that's awesome though. When it comes to books, books go a long way, and just spending time with the books, getting familiar with the books. Teresa, I also recommend that you open up the books and just look at all the pages. You don't have to read everything, but just look at the pages so that you can get familiar with where things are in the book. Where are your guidelines? Where are the anatomy plates? Where are the appendixes? And what do each, what does each section look like? I always recommend that because people have failed their exams before because they don't know where things are in the book. And because they don't know where things are in the book, what is the sense, right? So just make sure that you review your book. Again, you don't have to read everything, but just flip every single page. And you're welcome. Hi, Nilda. Thank you for all the blue hearts. But yes, so all right. Yeah. And what else can I say about being a high caliber coder? Don't be easily impressed with multiple credentials, because you still need to talk things out when you're meeting with other coders, and that way because it automatically assuming that just because somebody has a alphabet after their name that they're really smart and they know everything is not a good thing. You have to make sure that you ask questions, and when you ask, that you're doing your research as well. So Flora, I'll be taking the CPC next year, but I don't know when. But I would like to schedule an appointment to do an exam at home to see how I am going. Should I wait or schedule? Lachey, I put the divider tabs in today and used that as a chance to look through the book. Glad the tabs can go in and out easily because they are already getting in my way. So you get it. You know what I'm talking about when I say about the tabs. And Teresa, I don't know if you plan on tabbing your books, but that is a huge thing that I talk about all the time, not tabbing your books, because the tabs will actually get in your way and they will tear your pages. And then by the time you know it, your book will be all ugly and ratty. You don't want an ugly, ratty book. And having an ugly and ratty book does not mean that you work hard as a medical coder. Trust me. What is this? The 20? Oh, yeah. I've been using this since I got it at the beginning of the year. And look at it. It's still pretty. It's still pretty. It's not all messed up. It's not all ratted and torn because I take care of my books. You can still take care of them and still use them. And trust me, I use the heck out of this book. And I cannot tell you all the late nights that I had with this, with this guy too. So this, look at it. It's still in really good condition. And I've been using this. So that is what I would tell you guys. Having a ratty book does not mean you work hard. It just means that you're messy with your books, and you don't want that, because these books got to be able to stay together when you are taking these tests too. Flora, the college will pay for my CPC exam, I think for February, but I want to schedule my CPC on my own to see how I'm doing. Book tabs are getting one in the way also. I have to be careful because I don't want to tear the pages. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Can you do an online practice exam? Because if you're going to take the exam, then I just don't understand what you're trying to ask. Because if they're willing to pay for the exam, but you don't know if you should take your exam yet, but then you want to see if you can take it at home, why would you waste the money instead of just letting them pay for it? That I don't understand. But you've been in your program for quite some time though, right? If they're willing to pay for it, I don't see why you should waste that, because if you pass it, then you're not going to be able to take it again to be able to use their voucher or whatever that they're going to give you to take the exam. Because I'm nervous. Honey, you're going to have to put that to bed. You are going to have to put that to bed. You can do it. If you've been in the program for a while now and you're going through those practice tests on your own. And that's like the best way. The other way that you're thinking of, you're going to be spending money that you don't need to spend. It's already an expensive field as it is, and then you want to just throw away $400 because you're not really sure and the college is going to pay for one, but you want to take it first just to see, and then if you fail it, no big deal. You don't want to do that. When you take these exams, you want to be able to take it and pass it. You don't have to go through that anxiety all over again. You have to get out of your own head at this point, because at this point you're saying that you're nervous and it's kicking in already. You got to put that to the side. All the training that you've had, all the things that you've been learning, that's what you need to rely on. It's not like you're going in off the street and just taking a test and just see what happens. Don't, have some faith in yourself that you can actually pull this off. So like I said, like Lachey said, take the online practice exam. Christiana, do you have any tips on efficiently, quickly checking the guidelines during the CPC exam? Sorry if you already answered this. I just got here. No, I didn't answer it yet. Reading the guidelines will help you. And what I mean by that is like you're reading the guidelines in their entirety once per week. You don't have to read every single word. You can actually just skim it after a while after you've been reading it. But what happens when you start skimming things is that it imprints in your mind where it is, because you'll say, okay, well, I know I saw that. I know I saw that. I know I saw that. And if you just flip right to it, then, that will help you. So that's why I say read the guidelines as many times as you can, so that way you can get familiar with the guidelines. You don't have to memorize the guidelines, but reviewing them several times will help you. There is no other efficient way to do it other than actually reviewing the guidelines itself. And then, because if you're not doing that and then you get into the exam, what's going to happen is you're going to panic when you look through these guidelines. Oh, shoot, I can't read it. I can't figure it out. But if you've been going through your book, you'll know this first section is going to be covering the infectious diseases, right? And then the second section and so on and so forth. Because you'll know all the chapters, so you can skip right to wherever you need to. At least that's just my advice anyway. That's what I did because even when I took my CCS, I knew I had to recall some of those things about inpatient. So yeah, I had been reviewing the guidelines and just doing it once per week, and even the times that I'm just skimming it. And trust me, just being able to do that helped me so much when I was practicing. Justin, test anxiety is something I think everyone has struggled with. All of these certification exams are kind of scary. They should have test CPCs, and also the CPC, you get a free retake, I think. The one that you go to the testing center, yes. Where it's proctored, yes, you get that free retake. But if you take it at home, you only get the one try. Flora says, thank you, Blue. Thank you. CB, hi, Blue. I was just wondering if there's a limit of retakes that you can have. I don't think so. They'll take your money. I think there may be a limit on the time that you can retake it again, right? That you have to wait. Because like with the HEMA, you have to wait 90 days between tests, between retakes. Just so you know. Lachey, Justin, great point. But the free retake on CPC is if you take it in person. Yes, and Christiana says thank you. But yeah, Flor, I mean, I've seen that you've studied, and I mean, I've seen you throughout the summer. I know you've been studying, and so I think that you have to build confidence, and the only way to do that is to continually go through the practice workbook. Go through sites like justcoding.com if you haven't already signed up for your free subscription. They do have the 5-question coding quizzes, and what you do with those is you cover up the answers because they're multiple choice. Look up the answers in the book, and then see if one of your answers matches one of the options. Choose that, and then submit it, and then see if you got the answers correct or not. It will just tell you that if you got them correct. It won't tell you that which ones you got wrong and why. But it's a good practice. So actually physically going through and practicing, and the more you practice, the more comfortable that you'll get. And then by the time you get ready for your exam, you won't have to worry about all that. And with AAPC, you know, there's it's all multiple choice. That should give you some relief there. It is all multiple choice. So you're not having to come up with these codes on your own. So with it being multiple choice, then you can, you know, four answers, you know, you can immediately eliminate two, because two are not going to make sense. They're going to have some weird modifier on them, or they're going to have some weird off the wall out of that section code that they're going to try to stick on there. And then you can look at it and say, okay, well, it's down to these two. Well, now you have an even better shot at getting the correct answer, right? Because you're only picking between two answers, and then you pick it and move on. You have to be able to trust your teaching, trust everything that you've been taught. Because if you can't do that, you're going to be in trouble. I mean, what happens when you get out in the real world? You pass this exam, you get out in the real world, what are you going to do? Same thing? You can't do that. You have to be okay with, okay, deep into the pool, here we go. Because you've been trained. The more you practice, the better you'll get. If you, I think you ordered this book too, didn't you? This book? Because if you did, you know, you can be working through this, and this will promote critical thinking too, because some of these answers have been updated, and some of the, you know, I talked about this last time. One of the scenarios was talking about gynecomastia on a woman. Gynecomastia is a male condition. So, you know, but if you're paying attention to your medical terminology, you'll be able to work with that. So you have this book. I hope you've been working through it. And if you have, then that's great, because it's testing you on everything, all the sections, and plus your compliance and regulatory, and then E&M. Even though the E&M, I would skip that in this book because E&M's been updated, and then the Higgs picks and everything. So I mean, it's testing you, all the lab and paths. So that is something that, you know, work on it, so that way it's not so scary. The more you confront your fear, the less afraid you will be. For me, with the PCS, you know, not having any inpatient actual hands-on coding experience, the PCS intimidated me for years. But I actually had to sit down and have a face-to-face come to Jesus meeting with it and be like, okay, no, we're going to go mano y mano, and we're going to do this. So I opened up the book and I started looking at each and every single page, got to the back of the book and started working through the exercises. And even in those times when it frustrated the heck out of me, because why can't a removal be a removal be a removal? Why can't it be that? No, it has to be a resection. Whatever, PCS. But I learned that because I sat down with it. And it's the same thing. If you have your books all tabbed up, it's because you're not working with that book frequently enough that you're going to be so dependent on those tabs. When you get into that testing room, you need to have this book as clean as possible, so that way you can just be free to, okay, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to knock out these codes and I'm going to get that certification. Make sure that you have your vision board up. Make sure you write it somewhere where you can see it every day in front of your face. And don't be preoccupied with that fear, because that fear is going to keep you from anything and everything that you want to do in life. It will. If I allowed my fear to overtake me, I would still probably be delivering phone books or working in a bar, and these people talking to me all kinds of crazy ways. That's probably where I would be. I wouldn't have gone to school. I wouldn't have gone through all of that. To be probably working minimum wage, just being afraid. That's no way to live. By the time you know it, that's it. Your rodeo is done. You only get one. What are you going to do with it? Be afraid? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, especially when you've been working towards your goal. Work towards your goal. You'll get there. And you know what? If you don't do so well, that's fine. Dust yourself off and get right back up. And don't just let one knockdown throw you off. Keep going until you get what you want. This is just what my advice is. Justin says, I got my eyes on hunting one certification, the CCS, and it's 90-day waiting period, and then you got to pay to take another one more retake. Let's say that with self-studying, I'm freeing myself of the pressure of doing inpatient and out, going to focus on the CCS-P. All right. And then set the CCS as a goal in the future. That is awesome. That is very awesome, because I'll tell you what, that inpatient side, woo. Flora says, yes, you got this. You got this. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Justin, I didn't order that book, but the AHA book already tests on the ICD-10 CM, right? Yes. Yes. And that AHA book that you're going to get is so good. You're going to like that book. Flora, yes, I got the book and I've been studying. That's one of my plans, to read the questions carefully as possible and see the codes to see which one is the right one. My mother has told me to stop worrying. Listen to your mom and give her a hug. Listen to your mom. CB Blue, you're so inspiring. Thank you for the encouragement. You're welcome. Again, thank you, Blue. You're welcome, Floor. All right, guys, I got to wrap this one up. I have a session in 3 minutes. So I will see y'all again tomorrow, and tomorrow will be back-to-back modifiers. Sorry about today, guys. And then I'll be here for live tomorrow. So if you have any suggestions on topics, let me know in the comments below. And I will see y'all on the next episode. Like, subscribe, share, and I will see y'all. Bye. Bye, Justin. Bye.